It is 9 o'clock in the morning. I haven't worked out or showered or eaten or shaved or done any of the things I would normally do in the morning because this is more important. Fuck the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So 1 hour ago, the class of 2021 for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was announced. Several new artists and bands have been inducted. I have not personally looked at the list yet. You are going to get my completely fresh perspective on this matter. I expect to be disappointed because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has become especially biased towards heavy metal, punk rock, and progressive rock these last few years. Yeah, but who knows, man? Stranger things have happened. Maybe this is the year where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame finally gets it right. I don't fucking know. The first inductee is Tina Turner, and I have very mixed feelings on this. I am not going to argue that Tina Turner was not an incredibly talented or successful singer, because she absolutely was. I am simply going to argue that she should not be inducted in 2021 because she was already inducted 20 years ago in 1991. I'm sorry, but this is just kind of ridiculous to me. Why are we inducting Tina Turner twice instead of inducting Motorhead or Thin Lizzy or Iron Maiden once? This is ridiculous to me. I'm willing to bet someone's going to pop in here and go, well, actually, she was inducted with Ike Turner. Now she's being inducted as a solo artist, so it's different. And you're correct, but you're also a moron and you're also missing the fucking point. Why are we inducting Tina Turner twice and not Motorhead or Thin Lizzy or Iron Maiden once? What the fuck? Next up, we have Carole King, and holy shit, was Carole King not already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? That is so weird to think about. She's like one of the most critically acclaimed singer-songwriters of all time. Is she only now being inducted? Huh. Alright, well, fuck it. No comment. This is a good thing. I'm fine with this. Moving on. Next up, we have the Go-Go's. I don't know who the Go-Go's are. I'm not joking. I have no idea who this band is. I literally had to look them up. The band's 1981 debut album, Beauty and the Beast, is considered one of the cornerstone albums of U.S. New Wave, having broken barriers and paved the way for a host of other new American acts, blah, 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 blah. The album yielded 2 of the Go-Go's 3 biggest Hot 100 hits, Our Lips Are Sealed and We Got the Beat. Oh, I know those songs. Okay, I guess this actually makes sense then. New Wave was a big thing in the 80s. It pretty much changed the landscape of popular music for literally an entire decade, and if these guys literally paved the way for New Wave, then I guess it makes sense for them to be here. Alright, no comment. Fuck it. Next artist inducted is, you've got to be fucking kidding me, it's Jay-Z. It's Jay-Z. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Look guys, I got nothing against Jay-Z. He's made some great records over the years. He's produced some great records over the years. A lot of big hits. He's done a lot of good for the hip-hop community. But here's the thing. Are we really going to argue that he's more influential to rock and roll than Motorhead, Thin Lizzy, the New York Dolls, the Runaways, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne? Because I won't make that argument. If you want to make that argument, you go for it. But I am not, under any circumstances, going to make that argument. Even if we look at this specifically from the perspective of hip-hop, are we really going to argue that Jay-Z is more influential than A Tribe Called Quest or Rage Against the Machine? Because I sure as hell won't make that fucking argument. Why aren't they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, guys? Like, what the fuck? This just seems like a really transparent publicity stunt to me. Just like, oh, well, Jay-Z's popular. The young kids know who he is. We'll sell more tickets to the Hall of Fame and more merchandise if Jay-Z's here, so let's induct Jay-Z. Yeah, I'm not down with this at all. Maybe if A Tribe Called Quest and Rage Against the Machine were in the Hall of Fame, I would, but they aren't, so I don't. That simple. The next inductee is the Foo Fighters because of fucking course. Because of fucking course. Once again, are we really going to argue that Foo Fighters is more influential to rock music than Motorhead, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest? Why do I have to keep repeating myself? What the fuck? Is there really any young rock band out there that is like, oh, I would not exist if it weren't for Foo Fighters? Is there any specific style or subgenre of rock music that Foo Fighters can claim they influenced or pioneered or invented? Because if there is, I fucking can't think of it. Yet another scenario where it's clear to me this was done only so that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame can sell more tickets and merchandise and all kinds of other shit. Because there's no way, under any circumstances, anyone can argue that Foo Fighters is especially influential at all. Not just to this particular modern rock scene, but to rock and roll as a whole. Or at the very least, they can't argue that they're more influential, again, than Motorhead, Thin Lizzy, Iron Maiden, the Scorpions, the New York Dolls, the Runaways, Ted Nugent, Ozzy Osbourne, A Tribe Called Quest, Rage Against the Machine. You just can't. You just fucking can't. And the final inductee is Todd Rundgren, and you know what? Fine, sure, whatever. He's had quite a few hits as a solo artist. As a producer, he's worked on influential records from Badfinger, Grand Funk Railroad, Meatloaf, the aforementioned New York Dolls. So, you know what? Fuck it. Welcome to the club, Todd. We also have the Early Influence Award, whatever the fuck that means. Kraftwerk, Charlie Patton, Gil Scott-Heron. Sure, I don't know why you wouldn't just induct some of these, namely Kraftwerk, but fuck it. What's the point in arguing with the Hall of Fame, am I right? And we've also got the Musical Excellence Award. Again, I'm not really sure what this means. I'm not sure why these wouldn't just be inducted artists. But we've got LL Cool J, Billy Preston, and Randy Rhoads. Really? Randy Rhoads, as in Quiet Riot and Ozzy Osbourne Randy Rhoads? Huh. Okay, I'm fine with that. Yeah, pretty fucking mixed bag, to say the least. While we're here, why don't we look at the other nominees from this year and see what could have been, theorize what could have happened in an alternate timeline where the stars aligned and everyone got what they wanted. The other nominees are Mary J. Blige. Wow, really? You chose Mary J. Blige over Tina Turner, a singer who's already in the Hall of Fame? Okay. Kate Bush. Was Kate Bush not already in the Hall of Fame? You chose Tina Turner again instead of Kate Bush. Okay. Devo. Damn, Devo's not in the Hall of Fame. Iron Maiden. Oh, sweet fucking Jesus. And just a heads up, ladies and gentlemen, more people voted for Iron Maiden in the fan vote than the Foo Fighters. That says it all. That says literally everything right fucking there. Ugh, I'm mad. I'm like actually a little fucking mad right now. Chaka Khan, Fela Kuti, LL Cool J. Again, I don't understand why he wasn't just inducted. The New York Dolls, no! God damn you, Hall of Fame. Super influential band, not a lot of big hits under their belt, but I think it's safe to say that the landscapes of glam rock and punk rock are not the same without the New York Dolls. They're also kind of like super progressive for their time. You know, they all dressed up in drag on the album cover. They were extremely like hyper feminine and sleazy. That's kind of fascinating, but you know, none of that matters to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got to get Jay-Z in there. That's more important. Jay-Z is more important to glam and punk rock and to rock and roll as a whole than the New York fucking Dolls, because of fucking course he is. Rage Against the Machine was also nominated. That's a big shame they didn't get in. They just have such a cool and unique fusion of like rap and heavy metal and funk and hardcore punk. Their lyrics were super provocative and remain super poignant even to this day in this post-Trump COVID-19 hellscape. But, you know, that doesn't matter. It only matters that Jay-Z's in there. Jay-Z's more influential because he makes more money. It's that simple. And the final nominee is Dionne Warwick. Wow! There were a lot of, like, really influential female singer-songwriters here, and you chose Tina Turner instead? Really? Okay. Yeah, I'm not very impressed with this, to say the least. I think if I were to construct like a new top 5 out of all of the bands we've talked about in this video, I would go with like the New York Dolls, Iron Maiden, Rage Against the Machine, Kate Bush, maybe Devo, maybe the Go-Go's. I don't know. I don't know a lot about either, but I know that they're both very influential, so do with that information whatever you will. Of course, I frankly also would have thrown in like Judas Priest and Motorhead and Soundgarden, but that's another topic for another time. That actually might be a good idea for a video with Bryce Talks Metal, if he's watching, because I know he's talked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in a couple videos in the past. Maybe I'll do that. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Bryce, if you're listening, give me a call. So my camera crapped out again. I don't know why this keeps happening. Whatever, I'll figure it out behind the scenes. All I have left to say is, once again, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame have proven they care more about money and more about popularity and being hip and modern than they do about rock and roll and about maintaining the history of this fucking genre. And quite frankly, there's nothing less rock and roll than that. So, fuck the Hall of Fame. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna go down this bottle of whiskey. See y'all later.